Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here, and this is a Crochet-A-Long for this blanket. Now, you don't have to do it exactly the same as mine, but I'm going to show you the tutorial for these squares today. So this is going to be part 1. Part 2 will be showing you the join, and part 3 I will do a border with you. So it's not going to be a very long drawn out Crochet-A-Long, so it should be done and dusted fairly quickly. Now you can obviously, if you want to make yours bigger, smaller, or make it into anything you want, you can, but this is how I've done mine. I'm just going to pause the video and get everything ready to show you how to make this. So in the meantime, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll be back with you in a second. Okay, so just a few words then about this blanket. This one is a baby blanket, and I'm making it in a variety of colours. You can see that I've done green, yellow, blue, pink and teal. So I'm going to show you today how to do the teal square, and I've got my yarns here. Now this is all a DK weight, so I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook. You can use any yarn you wish, any hook that corresponds with that. You can also do it like this. This one I brought along to show you that if you were to use a variegated yarn on your little row, as I like to call it, then this is the effect you'll get. Now I've just done a tutorial with showing you how to do this one but spiking that stitch into a mosaic, and this is the same yarn that I used for that one. I'm going to show you now how to do it with the teal, and I'm going to start with my darker colour. Now this blanket here I've used, well, I would say there's been, if this was the teal, this was a 100-gram ball, and that is how much I've got left over of each. So you really don't need a lot. That's not even a 50-gram used on this particular blanket. Now, obviously, if you chose to do all of these in just one colour or two colours, then you're going to need to up your yarn. So it's hard to judge, being as though it's really just used a total of a drop in the ocean of 100 grams per side. But obviously the more that you do, the more yarn you're going to need. You'll also need a darning needle, but I have been working my yarn up this. I've previously showed you on my last tutorial, which was the other square with these colours, how to work your yarn in as you go if you end off your colour. But with this one, I just decided to carry the yarn with me, and I'll show you how to do that, no problem at all. You'll also need a pair of scissors, and I'm going to start with this darker teal. And what you need to do first off is to make a slip knot. And you can do that however you normally would. Now, don't need to leave a long tail because we're going to work over it. And we're going to chain 4 chains. Now this, I assume that you know how to do all of the stitches that I'm going to do in this tutorial. I do have an absolute beginners playlist, right-handed one and a left-handed one if you don't. So if you need to brush up on the stitches, we're going to do a UK treble, which is a double crochet in the US. We're going to do a double crochet UK, which is a single crochet in the US, and a slip stitch and a chain. That's it. So now I've got my 4 chain. I'm going to turn it into a ring by doing a slip stitch, if I can get hold of it, into that very first chain. We've got this tiny itty bitty little ring, and you can just about see the center of it. So I have been making the stacked start rather than turning chains, but if you don't want to, then you need to chain 2. But I'm going to show you how I do my stack. So I'm going to insert my hook into the center of that ring, yarn over and pull up a loop. I'm working over my tail as I go. Yarn over and pull through both of those, and then this one loop here at the side, insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both of those. Now that is now taking the place of the turning chain. It's fatter and looks more like a stitch from any angle. So now I'm going to start this the way we do any granny square. So I'm going to do 2 UK trebles or US double crochets into the center of that ring alongside my stack. I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to do 3 more in the same ring. So that little bitty hole is growing now. It's not going to get massive, but it will grow enough for you to put your stitches into the center. I'm going to chain 1 and do another 3. So it's just the normal start of a granny square. Still working over the tail as I go. If I go too quickly for you, then please just pause me, catch up. So this is going to be my last set of 3, and I'm going to show you no, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is my last set of 3, but don't do a chain at the end, and I'll show you what I do. So there's my 1, 2, 3. So this is how it looks now. I always make my granny squares, whatever I'm doing, seamless. So now I've taken that yarn down, and I'm going to bring in my new. So I'm using my Wool Genie, which is an absolute godsend. Okay, so stop spinning. Now what I'm going to do on this round, the way I join is, this is my first part of the stack, this is my second, and you can see those V's. I'm just going to insert my hook as if it is a normal stitch just between those 2 loops. And you can see the red of my hook, and there's 2 loops. There's the V. I'm going to yarn over and pull it through, but I'm going to stop there. And now I'm going to bring in my new colour. I'm going to leave a nice little tail, and I'm going to finish that stitch with my new colour. So it's basically, you're joining that together with a UK double crochet or a single in the US. So now I've got my new colour. I'm going to go and do a stack. So I'm going into this hole, which is between my segments of 3, so where I normally would. And I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of those. Now I want to bring my yarn with me. So I'm going to make sure that this colour is over my hook when I make my first chain. And now I'm just going to pull that aside over the right hand side. It seems like a long-winded way round, but don't worry, once you get used to this, it is very easy. So I've done my first stitch and 1 chain. I'm going to do another chain, but I'm going to bring this tail up and chain with that looped over my hook. So now I've got 2, and I'm going to go to my next space, working over the tail. I'm going to do a UK double, US single crochet. So I've got 2 chains which go alongside my 3. Okay, so now I'm going to take this yarn with me again, and I'm going to do 3 chains. So I'm going to do 1, I'm going to do 1 without taking it, and then I'm going to take it with me again on the 3rd one. So the tail is now up here, and I'm going to go back into the same space and make my stitch. So I'm going to do another UK double crochet or US single. So as you can see, there's no tail lurking anywhere there. So I'm going to put that over again, and I'm going to chain 1, then I'm going to chain another without taking it with me that time. It's still waggling away there, and I'm going to go to my next chain space. I'm going to work over this tail, and I'm going to do my UK double or US single. I'm going to chain 1. I've got a little bit left to take with me, and then I'm going to chain again. Don't need to take it with me that time. And then I'm going to try and take it with me a 3rd time. It doesn't matter if you can't. It's going to fluff, so we'll leave that. We'll just go another one. And then, because this is a corner, we've done 3 chains. And we're going to come back into that space and work over that tail. Okay, so now what we're going to do is between where we have our 3, we will do 2 chain. This is our repeat. And into the corner, we're going to do 1 UK double crochet, single crochet US, 3 chain, and another 1. Okay, so that's how we're doing this. So if you found that confusing, then obviously don't carry your yarn. But what you want to do is your first one will only be half a corner. You'll have 2 chain to go over the 3 UK trebles or US doubles. And then in the corner, you will do 1 UK double, 3 chain, and then another one. Remember, they're single crochets. 2 over the 3, and then the corner again. So now we're going across this 3, we're going to do 2. And now we're going to do our last one to finish our corner. And this is where it gets a little bit different again. So, okay, bring this over a little bit. And now I'm going to join. I missed out a stitch, didn't I? I'm going to use a UK half treble, which is a half double. So I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to go into my first stitch and I'm going to pull up my loop. So I've got 3 on my hook. Now I'm going to bring in my new colour and finish that stitch. Okay, so I'm going to go now back to this. So I'm going to enter, put my now into your chain space, which is now the treble, sorry, the half treble. I'm going to insert my hook. I'm going to pull up my loop because I'm doing my stack, but this time I want to loop that over because I'm carrying it. Okay, so we ignore that for now, and in this side post we insert, yarn over, pull up the loop, and I'm going to use that take it with me. And now I can put this yarn over that side. Out of the way. And we're working on this one. So we're just going to ignore this now. It's up the height we need for the next round. We're just carrying it with us, that's all. Okay, so that's my first stitch. I'm going to do 2 more for half a corner in that same space. Okay, and that's just sticking out there nicely. So now we've got this 2 chain space. So I've done these tutorials before for the modern granny square, not the traditional, but the modern granny. And the difference between this and that is that these segments usually have 4 UK trebles or US doubles. The difference being we have 3 now, which was perfect for making that spike stitch. So what we're going to do now is in between our chain, we're going to work into here and we're going to put 3 UK trebles, US doubles. We're not spiking on this particular one. Okay, so now we're at the corner and we're going to do a normal granny square corner. So we're doing 3 stitches, 1 chain, and 3. Now for some reason my genie stopped spinning, it got stuck. I'm pulling it across slightly, so I'm going in between again and I'm putting my 3 in there. I'm back at the corner, so we're not doing any chains between, we are just doing 3, 1 chain, and now we are actually working over that previous tail there. I don't like sewing in ends. I would much rather work over them. And now we're going to put 3 here. And now our corner. 1 chain in between, nearly back at the start. Okay, so we're going to do 3 along here as usual, and then we're going to finish off our corner. Sorry, my yarn stopped spinning again. It's because it's kind of quite low to the bottom, it gets a bit stuck. The bottom of my genie. Okay, so not to get confused with this, we'll pull it out the way. We're going to go back to our first corner, to this space here, and we're going to put 3 to finish off our corner. So we do 1 chain in our corners. This is why it's different between this row at the corner and this row. So I'm going to do a UK double or a US single to join. That took too many loops there. There we go, get in. I've got my 2 loops, yarn over, pull up my loop, bring in my new colour, finish the stitch. Okay, so now I'm going to go into the centre and I'm going to pull up my loop. Remember, I'm going to work that tail so it's up to the right height. Now all I need to do is switch my colours over again. So it's much easier the further you get in. It's just that first round that's a little bit awkward when you're carrying an end. But from now on, you're just bringing your yarn up because you are carrying it up with you. But you can't see it. That's the beauty of it. Okay, so this is now out the way. We've got our first stitch. We're going to chain 2 because this is half a corner. And we're going to put in between our segments as our UK double US single. We're going to chain 2 because with these we're still working along the side, and chain 2. Now we're back at the corner, so we're going to do our 3 chain between our stitches. Whoops. Okay, so we're going to do 2 along this side, and 3 at the corner. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video because you've seen me do this now. I'm going to do my 2 chains between and my 3 at this corner, and I will come back to you when I get back to the start again. Okay, so I'm back at my corner and I'm going to show you that once again, how we finish the corner off. So we are going between our 6 stitches there, and we're going to finish off with a UK half treble or a half double US into our first stitch. We're going to finish off that with the other colour. Okay, we can pull on them just to keep it snug. Okay, so now we're going to be doing our UK trebles US double crochets again. So we're going to go back into that space we've created, pull up our first stitch, and we're going to make sure we carry that yarn with us because we need it up higher. I'm just going to pull a bit out. It's a bit tight. Okay, so again, we're going to go into that side loop there, yarn over and pull up a loop. I'm going to bring this yarn with me. It doesn't work in, you're not pulling it through, you're just resting it over. Okay, so there it is, it's come with us, and I've got to make sure that my colours don't get tangled here. And move them aside. It's easier with a ball than it is with a genie, but there we go. So now once again we're working with this, we're ignoring this tail, we're just going to leave it over here on the right hand side. So we've got our first stitch there, we're going to put our next 2 next to it for our half of our corner. So that first round was only complicated because A, it's new concept, and B, because there was a tail involved. If you'd rather not work over the tail, you can just sew it in, but you won't have many tails to sew in. Okay, so now we're going back along our side again. So we're putting 3 in between our chain and our previous round. 3 in that one, 3 in this one. So we are increasing as we go around our square. 3 in all of our sides. If I go too fast for you, just pause it and catch up. Now we're at the corner. We're going to do our corner exactly the same as before. With our 1 chain in between. There we are. And we're going to carry on putting 3 in between our sides and our 3 1 chain 3 in each corner all the way around until we get to back here again. So I'll do a few more with you because I want to show you how it grows with a full corner each side. The other one's a half corner, so it's a little bit distorted view. Sorry if you can see my genie swinging around. I don't want it to be off-putting. Let me move it back a little bit. Perhaps it won't do it. I love my wall genie, I have to say. Since I got one, I'll never look back. Got extra spindles for multiple yarn on projects. Okay, so I've got to my corner. I'm going to finish this corner off and then we're going to have a little stop and look at our work. Whoops. It's still getting a bit stuck at the bottom there. Okay, so now I'll pull this out. You can see that each time we go round, we're growing. So we've got 3 on our side there. You know, well, there's only 1. They're corners, so we've got next one will be 3 along the side and our corners. So that's how it's going to grow. Every single way round will grow by 2 to each side. So with mine, I did 1 more row of this teal, the light teal, and then finished off with a row of this the treble crochet US doubles, and that was the size of my squares. I then went round in white, and that is how I joined. So I'm going to carry on then. I'm going to pause it and I will catch up with you when we get back here, and we'll go over that corner if you need me to again. Okay, so I'm back at the corner again, and I'm going to recap on how we do this corner. So keeping this out of the way, we don't want to work over it by mistake. I'm going to put my 3 for my other half of the corner. Hang on a moment. Yeah, it is. You might have to pull them over slightly if you do. No worries. Okay, so remember this corner, we've only got 1 chain in between, so we're closing this off with a UK double crochet or a single crochet in the US. So what we're also going to bring up our new colour to finish that particular stitch off, and then between our stitches we're going to insert, pull up our loop, and we're going to loop this over just to bring the yarn up with us. Remember, it's not coming through, it's not going to be brought through. Now that can just be put over here aside. So this blanket that I made, I decided that I will show you. With it, I did 1 square like this, and then I mirrored it. So I did dark, then light, dark, then light. You can do just all one colour. You can make it a scrap blanket where you use perhaps 1 dominant colour and all the scraps of yarn, or you can just make random. It's whichever you prefer, however you want to do it. So this now is my last round of the light teal. And I will actually do this round because you've seen it before now a few times. So I'm going to pause the video, get all the way round, and I'm going to show you how I bury the yarn when I get all the way around and do my last row, and then I'll show you what I did for the border. Okay, so here I am. I'm at my corner. I'm going to do my usual half treble, half double, finish off, bring that forward, out of the way, finish off with my new yarn, and I'm going to make a big loop. I'm going to get my scissors. I'm going to cut this and take this one out the way. So while you're working your yarn like that, you do have to watch you don't tangle them. You have to keep switching them around, and it's so much easier with a genie. So now we have our stitch. So what I'm going to do is along here you can see our chain. I'm just going to insert my hook and bring this forward, so I've got a loop, and I'm going to make a chain, cinch it right down and pull it out. You won't see this because this is in the chain that you're going to work over. So all I do, this is my preference because I don't like sewing them in, I will just put my hook in and go into the back of my chains and my stitch, weave it along all the way. If you didn't make such a long tail, you haven't got so much weaving to do, but I like to get this so that it gets right to the corner. It's actually a lot quicker when you're not doing it on camera or explaining it to people, so it doesn't take up too much of your time. But yeah, I just weave it back and forth along the back part of my chains between and my stitch, so it will not be seen. It's the same colour and it won't be seen. You'll be working over most of this. You only really see that little segment. Okay, so here I am. It's at my corner. Okay, so now I will work over it and cut it off. Okay, coming back. This is my last round, if I can get my hook in, which I didn't. My last round of colour. And it is absolutely the same as before. So finding the centre of this, going in, bringing up my... But this time we don't have to carry any yarn with us. Nice and simple. Do my half a corner. And my threes all the way along. Of course, we now are increasing again, so you've seen this quite a lot, so I'm not going to do this too much on camera, but I just want to show you how you're working over that tail, and it's buried and forgotten about, never to resurface, no sewing in. Absolutely brilliant, for me that is. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to carry on as normal. When I get to this corner, I'm going to work over this tail. I'll show you how I do that, because I don't just cut it off. I will show you. Hang on, Jeannie doesn't want to pull out the yarn. It's the way these particular balls of yarn are wound. There's quite a bit right at the bottom where it sits on the base, like here, and you can see it going along there. Sometimes it gets a little stuck under the weight of the yarn. It doesn't want to pull around, but it doesn't last long. Nearly there. I hope that first part wasn't too confusing. It's only while you get over that part, and then it's very straightforward. It's just repetition makes it easier. So now we're going to work over this tail as we go with our corner. We've got lovely 6 stitches to put in the corner. It buries it nicely. Last one. It's really awkward for the camera in between. Okay, so there we are. It's buried. It's buried all the way along there. So there's the tail. What I normally do is pull it out a little bit and chop it off. Because when you do this, it's now inside. It's inside those stitches there and never coming out. If you're not the sort of person that likes to trust that, you can always get your little darning needle there and push it back through if you'd rather, but it's safe and secure in there, no problem at all. So I'm going to carry on going all the way around, and I'll catch up with you when I get back to the start again. Okay, so I'm back at the corner. I've done my last stitch. Now you have a choice. You can either do one chain, join with a slip stitch, end off this yarn and have a tail to work over, or you can do what we've just been doing and bring in your new colour exactly the same way. Either way works. It doesn't really matter, but just how you feel you would rather do that. So I've got a white, which is how I'm bordering all of my squares. I'm leaving a little tail, and I'm finishing that stitch in this colour. And if you want, you can tie these in a knot, or you can you know, end off however you want. So that's what I would do if I were doing my join the same way as I have been, but I'm not going to do that. For this particular one, what I was doing was just making one chain because I wanted it to be identical. Okay, and then just joining with a slip stitch, and then I do one chain, cinch it right down, cut my yarn and pull it out. So now that corner is identical to the others, just has this little tail sticking out. So I'm going to move that yarn out the way. All my other bits and pieces can now be out the way. And I'm going to do the border, and I'm going to join it to a different corner. Only because I don't want to work over two tails at the same time. So I'm just going to join it in this one. It makes no difference. So yeah, you can do either, but for the border, for some reason, I prefer it this way. So I'm just going to join it by making a knot there. Some people don't like to knot. I'm a knotter, I must say. I prefer it to be very, very snug. Okay. So I'm going to insert my hook, and I'm going to bring up my yarn. I'm going to do a chain and cinch it right down. Okay, that now I'm in. And I'm going to do, in this corner, 2 UK half trebles, which are half double crochets in the US. And I'm not going to do a chain that sticks up. I want that cinched right down and out the way. So I'm just going to go in to that space and do my 2. Now, I know a corner would traditionally have 3, but we're coming back and finishing that corner. Okay. So now I'm going to do 1 in every single stitch around, and you might need to pull it over a little bit because you must not forget this one, the first one. And I'm going to work over the tail. As you know by now, I hate sewing in ends. So anything I can do to not have them, I will do. I have a video that shows some quite weird ways of sewing, of working in your ends as you go. But since I did it, I've noticed other people do it too now. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 1 in every single one along here till I get to the corner. So I'm going to pause it, and I'll catch up with you when I get to this corner. Okay, so here I am at the corner. I've gone in every stitch, and I've now got my chain space. And in that chain space, I'm going to put 3. And then I'm just going to go back all the way along this side till I get to the next corner. And then when I get here, I'm going to work over that yarn just the same way as I did before. And I'm going to put 3 in this corner, 3 in this corner, 1 in each, all the way along. Now I'm going to show you why I do a half treble in my border, or a half double. And that is because I wanted this particular blanket to have this ridge join. I like this ridge join. Now some people do this a lot differently to me. I've done it before on lots of other tutorials, so you might have seen me do it, but I'm going to show you, don't worry, how to get this nice clean edge when you do this join. So it looks better, I feel, with the half treble half double than it does with a UK double, which is a single crochet. You can do it with that, but you do get a little bit more of a chunkier ridge, I feel, with the half treble or half double. So I'm going to pause it then, because this is nice and straightforward. I'm just going to do exactly the same as I have along here. 3 in the corner, 1 in all the side, 3 in the corner, and 1 in the side, 3 in this corner, 1 in the side, and I'll catch up with you and show you how to do this last corner. Okay, so I'm almost there. I've got 1 more along this side, and now I'm going to finish off this corner with 1 more stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch into the first one, and that puts my yarn dead center. And I'm going to snip off, leave a nice big tail, because this one is the only one on every square that I do have to sew in. Okay, so there's my square. Now this blanket that I've made here is big enough. It's quite a large size. It would have been good for an old-fashioned pram. It's actually quite nice size. So I've got 4 along and 5 deep, so that's a total of 20 squares. Now I've made it with DK. If you're using a 4-way Aran or a chunky yarn, then obviously it's going to be a lot bigger. You might get away with less squares if it's a chunky yarn, but unless of course you want a larger blanket. Now I don't feel there's any need to block these squares. They do come up lovely and square, if that makes any sense, but if you're a blocker, then of course you can block them before your next stage. So I'm going to call this particular part of the tutorial a day, because you need to go and make your 20 squares of any denomination, size, color, or even if you want to do them like this, it doesn't really matter. This border I chose to make the same color as my my in-betweeny rounds, because I love this yarn. It's really cute. So yeah, you just make your squares, and I will catch up with you again on part 2, and we'll do the joining. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and hopefully the next video will just pop up for you. Bye bye for now.